the field. Hollywood!
Let me think about that one.
77 yards. Whoa! Who is this kid?
Lester.
All right, babe. So why don't you share with our friends what we're going to have a conversation about and why you think having that conversation is important for us to have now versus what I wanted to do as the podcast idea. I wanted to do core values, and you're like, wait, homeboy. Before we do core values, I think it's important that if we're going to lead other entrepreneurs, if we're going to lead other leaders, and the best way to do it according to us and our experience and our mentors, you must start where?
Unity. Alignment. A lot of people use the word alignment. So I just switched it to unity.
So what this podcast episode is about in the next, let's call it 10 to 12 minutes, entrepreneurs, husbands, mothers, leaders, teachers, will be equipped with the skill of getting on the same page and getting equally yoked with other leadership on their team.
Correct.
Tell me why that's important.
Because if you don't have the unity and looking at things on the same page, like for us, I'm going to look at it from a mom standpoint, wife standpoint, and things that have happened in our lives that I know cause chaos. So that would be Ace will come to me, hey mom, can I go over to so-and-so's house tonight? No, you've been gone for like multiple days. Like I would like you to stay home tonight. Okay. And the next thing I know, dad said I can go over to so-and-so's house. Oh, right. Okay. So it's, if we know, well, first of all, our children will now be talked to, even if that, like, if your mom says no, don't ask me. Like, that's just the first thing.
But you and I did that as we were kids too, because you knew,
everyone
does that, right? So it's not like we get mad at them, but we've made a standard in our house. If one parent shuts it down,
right,
that means both parents shut it down.
So I think just out of that, and also like this is something I'm working on consistently, and I don't by any stretch am I like an expert at it, but getting the same standards for like what are our values. Like you and I have to be in unity for that, or only one person lives it. Right. So our kids, it's just words.
Right. So an example for people listening or watching right now, to give y'all an example, looking at me, or if you know my background, I mean, you can jump in right now. I was just going to give an example of how I'm really disciplined. And so, would you like me to finish that, or did you want to jump in? All right. So the example that I was going to share, and then I'll let you jump in, is, you know, you can have dad's way or mom's way if there's not unity, if there's not alignment, if you don't come to not just a common ground, if you don't come to a common agreement that this is like, for example, our last name is Weatherford, and so we call it the Weatherford way. And part of the Weatherford way, one of our core values is discipline. So if my wife and I say like, hey, discipline's a core value of ours, and because I'm an athlete and I have my background, I'm the one that's disciplined, and then mom is not disciplined, then it's no longer the Weatherford way. Now it's dad's way or mom's way. And so I just wanted to share that as an example, and you were about to jump into it.
No, I was saying one of them is fearlessness, and that's something that I struggle with on a daily basis. So like if I don't know, I've gotten to the point now, like if I don't know if it's like, am I operating out of fear or am I operating because like maybe this just isn't right, I'll reach out to somebody else. I'll ask you like, and I'll tell the kids that this mainly is with Ace and Carney because they're the oldest, like they're the ones that do the most. Like I'll tell like Ace is he knows, so it's super easy to be like, I don't know if like I'm not comfortable with this, but like why don't we talk to your dad because he has a different mindset. He doesn't have that issue. So for me, part of unity is also like having the other person's back. Like, okay, I know that's not a great gifting of mine. So like the other day I called Pierce and I was like, Ace wants to do this. I can't get a hold of Steve. Like, this is where I'm at. What do I do?
And the reason that you asked Pierce is because Pierce is the guy that spends the most amount of time with me, which means he's probably going to be the guy that thinks most like I think. And so you reach out to a guy that you think would make the decision that I'm going to make.
Correct.
So just anyway, I'm helping you to see that. So anyway, Pierce, that's a really good thing for you, man, because she thinks you think like a king and a warrior.
Yes. So, but unity in values, unity in discipline is another big thing. Responsibilities in the house. Like if everyone's on the same page, this is responsibility. This is how you're contributing.
Before we go into discipline, could we just share with, and I'll do it, can we share with people listening or viewing this right now what our core values are? We don't have to get into it because I know we actually want to do another episode after this. Actually, what are core values? How do they govern your life? And then how do you come up with them collectively, either in a business entity, a relationship, or a marriage? So I'm going to share those real quick, and then I want you to go into the discipline. So to share with you guys what the Weatherford way is, we're going to tell you how to come up with it, but we are fearless, we are disciplined, we honor, we grow, we're joyful, and we're excellent. And so the Weatherford way is the Weatherfords are a fearless and disciplined family that honors and grows.
All right, guys, I wanted to take a brief break from the show, and we're going to get back to our episode in just 1 minute, but I wanted to thank our sponsor and also wanted to tell you a little bit about them. About 8 years ago, I really got into biohacking. I really got into brain optimization, and if you didn't know, I'll tell you right now, I've got extreme ADHD. My son's got ADD, and he's got dyslexia, and so we actually went out to Costa Mesa, California to work with the CEO of this company. His name is Dr. Amen. He's the #1 brain specialist in the world. And after doing some brain mapping with him and learning a whole lot more about the world of biohacking through neurovitamins like this, and I learned so much. And I've actually had my family on a regimen of brain health supplements. And I want you to go over and check out brainmd.com, and you can save 15% at checkout using the word Weatherford 15. And you can get onto some supplements like tyrosine, like GABA, and they've also got some emotional support for anxiousness and things like that. So I really believe in this company. I really believe in Dr. Amen. He's been on this show, and you guys are going to love the supplements that he's created.
Always with the joyful spirit of excellence. And so that's something that we just reformulated this year. And we're going to do another podcast episode, how you can sit down with your significant other or business partner to be able to create a value-driven business where you make decisions based upon virtues, values, philosophies, and standards, not just emotions or opportunities. Right. So talk to me about disciplines.
Well, I mean, I was going to just kind of tell a story about what just happened this week. We were out of town and we come home. I'm not going to use names due to just, I don't think it's necessary. But I come home and I have an email. One of my kids was caught cheating. I'm like, oh boy. So instead of...
Was caught cheating or accused of cheating?
Well, caught.
Oh, so he was caught.
It was, that made it very clear. But then I had to go through and look at the whole picture and say, okay, it wasn't a test. He was doing his homework in class when it was supposed to be done. And so before I go through and say, how are we going to handle it? I would go to Steve and I'm going to be like, okay, this is what happened. We talk about it. We have unity. And then we go to the source. Same thing, social media issues. And it was okay, one of our children just recently got a phone and was given that responsibility, within the last 6 months of okay, you're at the point where we're going to give you this responsibility. And some things happened. I don't know, we don't know fact-based what it was, and it didn't matter. We're okay, Steve, what do we do? Okay, we're going to take the phone away. We're just going to take away that option. But when we come together and we say it, and also with discipline, I've learned, this is a side note, if you don't yell, if you come to them and really just talk to them,
that's the key with Carney, our oldest daughter.
Yeah.
She just wants to be heard.
Yeah. So, and if you really explain it, give the whys. I know this is actually for Steve and I has been a struggle. Steve would be whys don't matter. Well, whys actually do matter to the kid a lot, and the whys also will help for the behavior not to be repeated. Because if they understand, even down to a 4-year-old, if you sit down and if Golden gets in trouble and I'll say, why did you get in trouble? Half the time she'll repeat something that's not even true. That is not really the reason she got in trouble. So really just making sure that mom and dad are on the same page of how even the steps that you take before you discipline, that is very helpful. Same thing with responsibilities. If things need to be done in the house, it's garbage day, it's not mom's telling me to take the garbage out. It's like, okay, it's my responsibility. And it can be mom or dad, and either one's going to say the same thing. Pierce can say the same thing. He can be like, it's trash day, even though Pierce often takes the trash out for Ace. Like it is like, we know responsibilities and they should be seen. Same thing with values, discipline and responsibilities. If the kids can see them, then it's a lot easier.
It's good.
Everybody.
So in review, you have
Unity.
unity is
Being on the same page.
being on the same page with your values, your disciplines,
and your responsibilities.
and responsibilities. And another word for responsibilities could be roles and responsibilities, like who does what and what am I expecting of you.
Right.
That's good. That's good. Is there anything else we'd like to share in regards to unity? Because we're about to follow this up with how to create your core values.
Nope. I just think, I mean, I said it in parenting, but I think from your standpoint, what I've seen with business is the same thing with a team. Like if your employees aren't on the same page as you, then, and roles and responsibilities are not clear, a lot of things fall through the cracks. It creates a lot of chaos. Over communicate them.
Awesome. Well, babe, I love you. Thank you for doing this podcast episode with me. I know that your life is very busy and you're very busy in your mommery of things. But I love you. I honor you. I think you're amazing, and I'm very inspired with how you are at 40 years old now, making the most.
Thanks for having to state my age, love.
Hey, 40 years old, that you're still transforming, that you're still pushing yourself and doing things like a podcast with me. You know, I know that you love writing blogs and things like that. We'll actually put a link in the bottom in the show notes for the blog that you're writing right now. But I just love you for sharing more of who you are and what you've experienced, because you've lived a pretty radical life with me. And there's so many people that could really learn from your experiences and the way that you have weathered the storm, the way you built systems and processes for things, and the way that you and I have learned to communicate really, really well, considering we've got several businesses together, six children, and we like to travel and get away together. So I'm really excited to be able to share you more with people. All right, man. Love you guys. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, share it. If you're watching it on YouTube, share it with somebody. Leave a thumbs up. So subscribe to our channel, because we're going to start releasing a whole lot more stuff like this. And if you enjoyed me having my wife on here, then put some comments in there, because she'll probably read them, and I hope that they encourage her. And if they don't, I'll come find you. God bless you.